We have 7:30. You have all the people apparently that you're going to have. So it's your pleasure. We can start the meeting.
Okay, let's call this meeting to order. It is 7:30 on Monday, March 11th. So we are here for the Zoning Board of Appeals. Let's first, everyone had a chance to look over the hard copies of the agenda. I would entertain a motion to amend or approve.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you.
I second.
Okay, we all in favor of approving the agenda?
Aye.
Okay, and then, got a little ahead of myself, the February 12th meeting minutes. Any changes or a motion to approve as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I will second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. All right, we have an agenda, we have minutes, and I'm going to turn over briefly to Hank.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At this point, I wanted to make an introduction for Jessica Steinhardt. She's one of our city commissioners. She is our Zoning Board of Appeals liaison to the commission, and she's taken the time to be here this evening just to let us know a little bit about, you know, her or whatever. And with that said, Jessica, if you want to say anything.
Hello. So I was elected to the city commission in November.
You're supposed to say your address? No. I mean,
Public participation,
no, you
but
don't have to say your address. We believe you live in Huntington.
We know where she lives.
Yeah, we know exactly.
Hank does it.
Thank you. Go ahead. Sorry, Jessica.
And so yeah, as Hank said, I'm your liaison. I know you're well taken care of by Hank and Franco. But if there's anything I can ever do for you as your liaison, I'm here for you. So just a pleasure to meet you and looking forward to sitting in on my first ever Zoning Board of Appeals meeting.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that brings us to the appeals themselves.
Mr. Chair, on this, I just want to point out that we normally have 9 people,
Right.
7 voting members. They need a maximum, they need 4 in order to move forward this evening. So that would mean they would need everybody's vote in order to proceed with their, in order to, you know, pass for their appeals this evening. So having said that, I just wanted to make that option, so when they get to the point where they vote, if they feel that there's a concern or there's a question or something like that, typically in situations like this, we always give the applicant a right to table to the next meeting or until we can arrange a special meeting. So having said that, Mr. Chair, the floor is yours again.
Okay, so that brings us to the appeal by Orleans Construction on behalf of Thrifty Flowers for a couple of variances here for 26-989 Woodward. And just so I think we're all on the same page, at whatever point before we vote, if you decide you want to punt to a future meeting, that's okay, but we are here. Come on in. All right, so,
Yes, back room, right behind the counter.
good luck.
Right.
Okay, so, we've got some materials here. How do you want, you guys can start, or we can let Hank give us, a little bit of a lay of the land, however you want to proceed. You wanna,
We were gonna let Hank give
okay,
a little more
sure.
background on it, and in regards to both variances, one being existingly established, with the duality of the signs, and the other one is a modification to the proposed additional footage for those. So we'll let him kind of
Okay.
run through that, and then any infills, we'll try to do our best.
Great.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. At this point, I wanted to show you what we have up here, because this is Thrifty Flowers as it currently exists. This is the original owner of Thrifty Flowers, and Mr. Ray, and he has had it since its inception. They've built it, they've done different things for it, and they've acquired some variances already. So you'll notice that we had noticed this for 76.6 square feet. We always notice for the most that they could ask for. So they're actually going to ask for less. Why is that going to happen? It's going to happen because back in 1989, when they originally started, they had been approved for the pedestal sign, which you see out here in the lot, or you will see as I go around. And then this this sign here, which faces this way, and this sign which faces the other way. So they already have two signs, and that's already been approved. So one of the variances, and this notice goes out because we do that first, because we have to get that out, and we have to get it published in the paper. So that's why that goes out. Then we do our research, we find out a whole lot of different things, and as you all know, I'm pretty much a pack rat, so I keep everything. So going back, I do have the original plans and documents and signed documents from the Planning Commission, Zoning Board of Appeals from back in 1989. And that shows exactly the location of the pedestal sign, the size of the pedestal sign, that it was approved, and it shows the two signs for the faces. So let me show you how the building is right now. So if you take a look at this and you go around, you kind of see what you have here. So I want to point out that this sign variance is part of a much bigger project. What they're doing, and they're going to the Planning Commission later this month, they're completely resurfacing the parking lot, they're redoing this area in through here, and the solarium is coming into a different kind of structure, which I'll show you is much updated and is much needed. So if you take a look again, you see this is what you have now. Okay, and then what you have coming up is that. So what they're looking for is they're looking for this is what they're hoping to build, and they're going to the Planning Commission for this and this. So this is significantly different. But what they'd like to do, instead of the awnings and the signs there, which already extend above the roof, this will be going a couple feet higher, and they'll be looking to put this sign on it. So the sign represents a little bit different type of thing. It's not an awning sign, it's not something that's likely to get dirty, tired, or worn like the one is there, no offense. But this is something where they can have an absolute sign. It faces 11 Mile and it faces Woodward. So why do they need this, and what would the benefit to them be on this? And what do they satisfy when they do this? They have to satisfy 4 criteria, so let's go over those real quick. So the structure's long needed a facelift. This request is in conjunction again with a site plan review that's scheduled for the Planning Commission for a facade upgrade as well. The sign variance is needed and is the only thing before you now. The drawings provide the whole concept that you have. The issue for Thrifty is the lot's platted off of 11 Mile with a Woodward address. The building was designed to have 2 frontages to best attract business. The lot has the most exposure in the city and the only one that has Woodward and 11 Mile frontage. The car count on that corner is significantly higher than any other corner in Huntington Woods. So what does that mean? That means that the smaller signs don't get noticed as much. So what they're looking to do is they're looking to try to maximize the exposure that they already have there. There's an existing sign in the lot that's used for advertising specials and things like that. And the only building sign right now is on the awning, which has the 2 existing signs. But because it's there, the concept is not new to this location. So upon research, we found that in 1989, the Planning Commission approved the building with a recommendation of the Zoning Board of Approval for the pedestal sign and the complete sign package. The building and sign subsequently received approval for up to 150 feet of signage, and this makes the ask actually only 10 square feet as the original variance runs with the land. The old files in this case were exceptionally helpful, so I'm glad that we still have those. The building was then subsequently converted from the gas station and what the buildings that it was there in the past to the Thrifty Flowers of today. So being a successful business, they're in a position right now where they can afford to upgrade that, so they're doing the parking lot, they're doing all the outside renovations, and they're taking this part here, which was the solarium, which was that rounded glass, and they're putting something like this, which is infinitely more attractive to the 11 Mile frontage. This will be visible from 11 Mile and partially on Woodward. This will be visible on Woodward and partially from 11 Mile coming down that way. So maximizing their sign for the minimal ask of 10 square feet would be substantially helpful for them. So what you have to do is you have to satisfy these criteria. Special or unique conditions and circumstances exist which are peculiar to the land, structure, or building involved, and which are not generally applicable to other land, structures, or building in the same district. Well, because that building is still Zone B, which is the business district, and it's one of a few properties in the city that are still Zone B1 for business district, this is a whole different animal. There's just nothing with this type of thing on it. So again, it is the only lot in the city with such a high traffic count and such a high visual profile. The building facade is admittedly tired and in need of a facelift, which again is going to the planning commission this month. There's only one technical one side, but the physicals, there are two. So there's two frontages, even though you're technically looking at the short side as your front. In this case, they really do have two frontages. So the visibility of the signs facing both 11 and Woodward are essential to the brand definition as well as ease of customers finding them. And you know, on Woodward, you're going 45 miles an hour, so the slowdown to hit those driveways are a little tough on Woodward, so the bigger sign may help give them some additional notice. And also on 11 Mile, which nobody speeds on, so you can kind of see that any of this might be helpful to them. And again, the only other thing on that one would be the location of the property can be considered extraordinary because it's the only piece of property located in the city with that kind of exposure on the biggest corner in the city. Now you get to the second criteria, which is the variance will not be injurious to the neighborhood or otherwise detrimental to the general welfare. These signs would not be visible from any residential or commercial Huntington Woods properties. There will be no light trespass to any of those. And across the street in Berkeley, there's cartoons, so you're looking right at another commercial business, which would be closed pretty much, or their lights would be on pretty much at the same time as Thrifty Flowers lights would be on. I've had no adverse communications from any residents or from any businesses on as far as this goes, and the use will not change. And again, the pedestal sign was approved in 1989. And 3, the special conditions and circumstances do not result from the actions of the applicant. So here, this is kind of a unique take on this, but the lot building configurations have not been changed and have been in place for over 30 years, approved by the Planning Commission and the Zoning Board of Appeals. The project, although requested by the applicant, solves several potential blight and visibility issues as it is the busiest corner in the city. And again, this is one of the things where, is this self-created? Well, you could take the position that they asked for it, but on the other hand, the other position is that, you know, houses, buildings, parts are forever, but integral parts were out on a fairly predictable basis. So the driveway and the park and the parking lot needing to be done, that's expected. The walls need to be redone, that's expected. The awnings, cone to tatter signs need to be replaced, that type of thing. This is general expected maintenance, but because it is a facade lift, it has to go to the Planning Commission. And because they wanted to increase the signs proportionally to what you can see here so that it fits nicely on there, they're asking for 10 square feet. So that brings us to the fourth criteria. A literal interpretation of the provisions of this ordinance would deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the same district under the terms of this ordinance, and that the variance is the minimum necessary. So let's take a look at that for a second. This is a 10 square foot ask in which the scheme of the building plan is not considered great. There's no other property like this in the city, so you could draw the conclusion that this is different, and the ask is not great since no other properties to compare it to. Additionally, this is part of a bigger project for renovation of the structure as a whole, and this is the only variance required. It could be considered minimal. The other thought is, too, is if you take a look at the facade that they have here and what they're proposing to be built, they're not filling the whole thing. So they're not asking to maximize, and they're not asking to take that. They're asking to take a portion of each side and use that for their signage. So that's what it could be. So your motions, you could do a few things here. One, you could move to grant the appeal from Orland's Construction on behalf of Thrifty Flowers for the following variances at 26989 Woodward for a variance, and from section 40-10.11G, signs, chapter 40-article 10, section 40-10.11G and 1A, and G, signs permitted in the TD and BD district, which this is the BD district, B1. The ground and wall signs, awning and canopy signs for the 3 signs, total of 160 square foot of signage where 150 is permitted, as it generally meets the requirements for a dimensional variance and the practical difficulty hardship has been established. It would do substantial justice to the applicant without any adverse effect on the neighboring properties. or you can move to deny the variance if it fails to meet the necessary standards for approval. At this point, Mr. Chair, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have, as I'm sure that Luke is and Mr. Ray, and we go from there. I'll leave this up if there are any questions.
Great, we can hear from the applicants or public participation first. Does it, what is the?
That's at the pleasure.
All right, well, I will open the floor up to public participation. Hearing none, we're happy to, get any additional, context, from the applicants, before we deliberate.
My name is Anthony Rea. I go by Chris, my middle name. I've owned the building, as Hank said, and the business for the last 30-some years. And I understand, the northeast corner of Huntington Woods is, one of the most prominent spots in the city. And obviously, the building needs an upgrade. And I met Luke. He actually, I was invited to Lockmore Country Club a couple months ago, and he had done the renovations there. And, they were fantastic. They were done on time. And so we talked to him and with his in-house architect and his expertise. He's a young guy, but he did an excellent job there. And so he's taken this project on, and I think he's going to do a great job. Like I said, we're going to be redoing resurfacing the parking lot. And then the patio, you can see on the left for those like orange, I think those might be pumpkins or something. We're tearing all that concrete out, and then around the front of the store, the main entrance, and then around the bump out there, we're redoing the greenhouse. So that concrete all be done. They're gonna power wash and clean up all the brick. And so it should, and then on the interior, we're gonna be doing some work in there. We're redoing all of the lighting and painting, and so it should look like a brand new facility and hopefully represent Huntington Woods in a much better fashion than it is right now. And I know it's an important piece of property, and your signs out there. I think when we originally put this building up, we built that wall there where the Huntington Woods sign is, and anyways, I think that's all.
Great.
I have my input, but I appreciate your looking at this, and we're looking forward to having I'm hoping we were going to start this process and have this done hopefully before May, but we had to go through these meetings, and so hopefully right after Mother's Day. Luke works very quickly, so we should have this project done fairly soon, in the middle of this year.
You don't mess with Mother's Day, though, because that's a big,
That's
it's a big day. That's a big day. Okay, thank you. Luke, do you want to add anything?
I'm trying to think. I know Mr. Barry did a wonderful narrative of it. It really is, we're trying to keep it a one-for-one, but an upgrade, especially with the material we're using, with the composite steel siding, the standing seam metal roof, and same with that awning there. And just trying to keep everything proportions, and if there's verticality lent to it, we're just going with that and kind of lending to a little more of the square footage in the sign. But definitely seems like a big upgrade from before.
Well, great. All right, I will open up for comments or questions from the board. That's us.
I have a question for Hank.
Yes, sir.
Hank, I was taking a look at this, and I see that this is predicated on this being a big rectangle for the total area, but the sign really isn't a rectangle. So how?
It is if you take the square footage and you don't consider the back. You consider the side of the sign, the size of the sign, and that's how we came up with the 10 square feet. You take that and you put a polygon around it, and that's what becomes your square footage for the sign. So it doesn't relate so much to the background, but the sign. So those two there, the one that's the one that's out in the lot's already been there.
Yeah.
The two signs were already approved to have two signs. The question is, how much sign are you gonna, how much sign can you have? So this sign proportionally, what their contention is that fits the proportions and the facade of the building. So how we got to the 10, this square footage of this equals 10 square feet more than what they were approved for in 1989. So as a result, you're getting roughly 5 square feet more per sign than that. So 5 square feet, you're looking at roughly 2 by 6, you're looking at something like this table.
I got one comment. It wasn't my intention, to come to this board, but I had them, their in-house architect and Luke design this, and to make something that's aesthetically pleasing, and that's what they came up with. There wasn't any intent to, increase the size of the sign, but with their expertise and his in-house architect, he couldn't be here tonight, but that's how this all developed like that.
You can correct me if I'm wrong, Luke, but I think the intention here, Joe, was when they went ahead and designed it, balance and proportion were the key. So that's how they came up with that. The fact that it came up 10 square feet over was incidental to the balance that they were seeking. And then when they found out they had to go here, they absolutely willingly came to the board. There wasn't any discussion about that. They wanted to do the right thing. But it was driven more by balance and proportion and having a correct look, and also being able to catch their customers or potential customers as they come down 11 Mile in Woodward. After all, it's a business. So that was where it was, but I think the intention, how they got to that number, was more about the balance and the sight lines than it was really anything else.
I don't have any questions. I can't see holding something like this up over less than a 4x4, square. And it fits with the things that we've been approving for, like, the residential side. Like, it looks like it fits with those kind of, the same aesthetic that we'd see with, the upgrades to residential buildings and stuff like that. So I like the design a lot, and I think it fits with what we need on that corner, so.
First off, thank you for running a very convenient floral shop.
Yeah.
Because occasionally, some of us need some flowers in a hurry.
Service.
And thank you for investing in your business and renovating it. I'm inclined to agree with everybody. I do have one question, though. Because we're talking about going out of zone here. Hank, can you go back to Google Maps? And to the corner, I guess what I'm getting at, my question is, because it's factored into the measurements, is there a plan for this side, this sign, is this included in the current renovation, or is this intended, what's the plan for this sign?
Which currently, we're gonna paint it, upgrade it with the posts and aluminum. That's gonna be the existing. I don't know if we're gonna do a new acrylic in the face, but the intent was at least brighten it up with the rest of the building.
So will it be the same sign with a paint job on the metal, or would you be altering like the materials of it to kind of match the new building?
So the post and frame would be painted metal that's there. We're just refinish it.
And it's right, so this is an old picture then.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I drive past it a million times, I
Yes.
think I know, but okay.
Got it.
Yeah, I'm good with it. I mean, I think the fact that it's on Woodward and 11 Mile, for 10 extra square feet, and you got a million cars going past every day, it's, it seems like a no-brainer to me.
Would you like to make a motion? Anyone?
Motion to approve, motion to pass?
As presented?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Any other further discussion? Okay, all in favor of the motion as presented and seconded?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Congratulations.
I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, congratulations. Mr. Chair, at this point in time, when you get to the other business portion of it, this is something that we have. First place, are you ready for that?
I think we can move on to other business.
Okay, thank you. So what, again, as we did last year, we're having
Take care, guys.
a proposal for a joint meeting with the Planning Commission for April. This is an opportunity for the zoning board of appeals to, they carve out a slot for you at the Planning Commission agenda, again, like it was last year right here. It gives the zoning board of appeals an opportunity to bring to the attention of the Planning Commission any constant variance requests, anything where they feel that the Planning Commission might want to take a look at, any ordinances they think they might want to ask the Planning Commission to tweak because either they're problematic in the sense that they keep showing up at the zoning board of appeals and you have to keep deciding the same variance over and over again, or that there may be something in there that you find somewhat problematic or something that you might rather have cleaned up rather than have to rule on it in the long run. Because you would be the body that would interpret the zoning ordinance, even though the Planning Commission would write it and put it into play and have the public hearings on it. The zoning board of appeals is still the ones that's responsible for making the decisions on that. So having said that, if that's okay with you, we're looking at the April 24th meeting, which is on a Wednesday. It's normally on a Monday, but for Passover and potential lack of a quorum at that point in time, they would be moving it to the 24th. If that's okay, we would need a motion to go ahead and accept the joint meeting with the Planning Commission on the regular April meeting, and I'll let the Planning Commission know that that's going to happen, if that's okay with you folks.
I'll make a motion that we go ahead and have a joint meeting on April 24th with the planning commission.
I'll second that.
All in favor? All right. All right, we will be here on Wednesday, the 24th, is at 7:30?
It will be at 7 o'clock because
7.
it's the Planning Commission, and what I will try to do is I will try to make the agenda so that I put you guys first, so you don't have to.
That's very kind. Okay, all right, we can open up the floor for general public participation, hearing none. I think that is it for this evening, if anyone wants to make a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
I.
All right,
Thank you.
that's a wrap.
I'd like to thank you all for being here this evening. I know it's hard when we only have a few people, but I appreciate your attention. Thank you.
That was an easy one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but an important one.
Yeah, no, it looks great.
I can't push that back over 10.
Right.